Integrative Inquiry, Week 1 Practice, Decreasing Stress and Anxiety.
Here is to notice what it feels like to bring your full attention to listening to this sound. And just seeing what you noticed as you brought a full attention to listening to the sound. And perhaps one more time. So maybe you're noticing that you want to adjust your posture. Perhaps you want to direct your gaze in a particular way or do something else with your environment around you so that you feel more empowered to direct a full attention to listening to the sound of the bell. Thank you. Now, with that same intention of bringing a full attention to the sound of the bell, let's gently invite attention into the body in the chair if you're sitting. So just gently inviting attention into the sensation of the feet on the floor, seat in the chair. Noticing whether if the spine is upright, alert yet relaxed, or whether it's drooping. Just seeing what it feels like to play lightfully, curiously with the body, a posture, so you're bringing a full attention to the sensation of the feet on the floor, the seat in the chair, spine upright yet relaxed. And then noticing where the hands are placed. Perhaps inviting a gentle attention to rest on the sensation of the hands touching each other or connecting with the thighs or other body part, or even the table, computer. And then inviting attention to the softening of the eyes. So it's as if you're beginning to look at perhaps this tree or even looking down on the keyboard or the desk or the floor with the softening of the gaze. So it's as if you're looking but not really seeing. Bringing a gentle attention to this part of the body with just a playful curiosity of noticing what you're noticing. And inviting in a gentle attention to the breath awareness. It's the awareness of the breath sensation in the body. So maybe you're bringing a hand to the chest, just getting curious, gently curious about what it feels like to breathe. Or the belly, bringing a hand to the belly. Or even a hand to the front of the mouth or the nose, and really just sensing the inhale and the exhale of each breath sensation. Just noticing what it's like to be in command of attention, or even noticing when mind is wandering to a thought, past, future, or to another sound sensation, or another body sensation. And seeing what it's like to gently, effortlessly direct attention back to the body in the chair, the breath sensation in the body, And then inviting attention to rest once again on sound sensation. Then whenever you're ready, gently inviting your attention back to the screen, back to your chat window, and sharing a little bit about what you experienced. Just what did you experience as you were invited to guide your attention to parts of the body, to sound sensation, to breath sensation. And welcome again to all of you who have just joined us. The invitation is to open up your chat window and share. See, we have some intentions sharing in there. Thank you so much, Paul and Mike, for sharing your intentions. And the sending of the messages, Mike, thank you. Yes, just if any of you can find your conversation bubble in Zoom, just click on that and you can enter to all panelists. So it would be all panelists and attendees. And everyone should be seeing that, all panelists and attendees. Let me know if you're not seeing or hearing well. And just an invitation now to share what you noticed as you practiced. So while you're typing in the chat window, maybe you noticed, how many of you noticed the mind wandering, that normal default of the mind wandering, like, oh gosh, I'm supposed to be paying attention to my seat or my feet or my hands. Yes, just normal mind wandering 47% of the time. And some of you enjoyed focusing your attention on your intention with playful curiosity and gentle care. Wonderful, thank you. Thank you, yes, that's, appreciate that. So you might notice, and you might notice a little bit of both, all happening in that very brief 3-minute practice. Yeah, yeah. So again, mind wandering, default mode network of the brain, and so it takes some intention to direct attention to where we would like to. And what we understand again from practice is that the more we practice this repeatedly, the more we can direct attention on demand. I love the conversation in the chat window. Thank you. Seeing some lively sharing here. I'm so grateful to you. So Paul, you mentioned awareness of often drifted or got attached to a particular sensation. Oh, I hear a lot of awareness, beautiful. And then you'd start imagining beyond what was present. Yes, such as hearing the sound and then imagining a bell and sitting somewhere where there's a bell and then onto the whole story following from that. Thank you for sharing this. This is absolutely what the mind will do, right? It'll grab on to a moment in time and then it'll tell a whole story about it. And so we talk about in this course that the brain is a storytelling machine. It will just tell stories. And so the invitation of our training attention back to one moment at a time, one moment, this moment, now this moment, is to really train our neurology to see what's here now, and as equally, what's not here. And what's not here is often the story we're telling about what's here. Thank you. Great. All right. So happy that you're all here and sharing. Thank you. Right. So some of you experience relaxing reflection. Some of you are noticing comparing this practice to other practices that you've had. This is often another typical experience of the mind. We'll be in the moment and we'll start reaching back to the past and comparing it to the present moment to past experiences, and we'll move right into analyzing, especially those of us who've been trained to analyze, right? We just go right into analytical mode, and it takes some more effort to bring our attention back to the present moment. Wonderful sharing, wonderful. Some of you noticed a visceral body vibration. I hear just a lot of awareness. Yeah. And and also here, thank you. Just this, instead of just noticing that this is part of our neurology, it's part of our normal humanness to have mind wandering, to have storytelling, and to suspend the judgment that you're sharing. Thank you, Mike. To suspend the judgment of immediately, oh, I'm doing it wrong, or yay, I like going into the story, and just even noticing that immediate yum or yuck, which is part of our neurology. Noticing that, naming that. Yes, great. All right. Thank you. Continue the sharing. Continue the sharing. So as we move forward in our time together over the next 15 weeks or 14 weeks, I guess, I lose track of counting. What we have talked about is really committing, really exploring how to be in this work together, whatever your work is, whether it's some aspect of education or perhaps you're working outside of education. But again, as we talked on the webinar, we often talk about getting the job done and what it looks like to paint it done, as Brene Brown would say, or get it done, the tasks. But we rarely talk about how do we want to be in the work together. And so as we go into this co-creating and sharing sacred space together, using your words that you're creating in the window, or brave space together, is a commitment to doing the work, whatever that looks like, and recognizing again for all of us that means we're doing the best that we can from where we are with what we have, knowing that our internal and external resources are in constant flux. And some of you have shared that you're coming to this course with the intention to regulate more of the internal resourcing, to become more aware of how you regulate your internal resourcing so you can, with more flexibility and perhaps with skill, be with the external variations of the environment resources, and all of that's always happening, all these changes that are happening around us. And so what we learn from research and the history of these practices and all of their forms, and I'll unpack that more later, is that when we can bring a playful curiosity to this, and I invite in an attitude of gratitude that's not necessarily unnecessary, but having experienced my own neurological diseases where I don't always have sensation, sound sensation, sight sensation, or bodily sensations. Whenever I notice a sensation or a lack of sensation, I experience a gratitude of like, wow, look at that, that's amazing. And this curiosity to see what's here, and inviting in that researcher to the internal experience of seeing how it does it shift. We're also inviting in our community a lot of kindness and compassion for self and others, and we'll unpack that over the course. We're avoiding doing it right or striving or fixing self and other. There's no fixing here. It's just noticing what there is to notice with a lot of kindness, with grace. And remembering again, this next moment is a new moment and a new opportunity for a new choice. And so whenever I notice I'm not using my I language, speaking from what my experience is so that you can speak from what your experience is, then I can remember, oops, I just disempowered my colleague by speaking for them. So I'll go back to using my I language. And then please, at all times in the comments, feel free to ask questions and share comments. And we've just opened up the discussion board. I hope you found that, or the listserv, excuse me, I call it discussion board, but a listserv in the context of this, where you can share the ways that you'd like to move together in this course. So the ways that we'd like to co-create our discovery. And so we just sent that out to you last night, the listserv invitation. And if you have not gotten that listserv invitation or can't find it, please feel free to email me at this email address in the chat window, and let me know, and I'll get you connected in the listserv. And so, yes, there is also, thank you for sharing, there's also a challenge here that this is not always a welcomed practice to look internally and experience sensations. Some experience an over sensory mode drive, and particularly when we're serving adolescents, ages 10 to 25, they're experiencing heightened sensory and not, the brain is developing in a way where there's not an ability to differentiate sense. And so sometimes it's too many senses coming in. And so again, what we're cultivating in the typically developing brain is this process of bringing a gentle kindness to noticing one thing at a time and acknowledging it and giving grace to what we're noticing, giving grace. And holding it with a reverence. Yeah. Okay, again, please feel free to share observations, questions, concerns in the chat window or email me directly, okay? So what I'd like to do now is engage in a couple minutes of journaling, and this is your private reflective journaling. And so during this time, what I invite you to do, if you have handy pen and paper, or pencil and paper, is to simply write for 2 minutes on this prompt. And I'm setting my timer so you can not worry about time. I'm watching time for you. And just simply write about when you consider your role in co-creating the workshop environment that we all want to create, or that you want to create. What is it that you notice? So when I consider my role in co-creating the workshop environment that we all want to create, I just write down what you notice. Keep writing whatever comes to mind. If you don't have pen and paper nearby and you feel comfortable sharing that in the chat window, feel free to type what you're noticing. Just taking a couple minutes now, less than 2 minutes, to write, what are you noticing? And seeing if you can just write without critiquing what you're writing, just allowing it to flow. Whatever's coming to you. Again, this invitation just to keep writing in response to this prompt. Whatever's coming to you, even if it's, I don't know what to write, I'm confused about the prompt, whatever you're noticing right now. Again, just continuing to write whatever you're noticing. Then taking a few moments to complete your writing. Okay, just inviting you to put the pen down if you have a pen or pencil in your hand. Taking a moment perhaps to take one focused inhale and exhale. Taking a moment to read over what you wrote. Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone who'd like to type into the chat window what they noticed as they were writing? So you can either share the content that you wrote, a summary of the content, or you can share just about the experience of taking a moment to write whatever comes to mind without critiquing it or just allowing it to flow. And so while I'm inviting you to write in there, one of the interesting pieces about this 2-minute journaling research is some interesting data, particularly for college level students, around noticing increased overall well-being from just 2 minutes of taking pen to paper or pencil to paper and writing about what you're noticing. Particularly if it could be to a particular prompt, or it could be just simply about emotions and feelings and that sort of thing. So it's another way to invite in an integration of all of this. So some of you are noticing an intention of being present with awareness, acceptance, care, curiosity, and compassion, and the listening to others. And some of you are noticing that you like the guidelines. And when this has been most helpful is the idea that even the person who seems like a like a total horse's butt is probably doing the best they can given where they are. I've heard this described as moving from furious to curious. Oh, thank you. I like that. I get another one, and Stephen, thank you. I like the idea of co-creating an environment within this environment to be empowering. Yes, thank you. This other one that I heard this morning is if we're in a situation where we know we're talking about challenging topics like living social justice, equity, inclusion, equality, some of these UNESCO, ECD, and GSD outcomes, that we just want to honor that there's in our allocation of tasks during a particular time, we may not always get to hear everyone. And so just the invitation of where can we create space to continue the conversations. So something that struck me this morning in another environment. Yeah, noticing the desire to hear all voices and ideas. Thank you. Yeah, noticing, observing, and also noticing judging. Beautiful awareness. Because again, that's what the mind will do, right? That's part of that survival mode, just noticing yum or yuck. Yes, and holding that with grace and reverence. Yeah, all sorts of beautiful loving kindness, appreciative joy, and it's taking a step back and being with this moment to ensure you're giving positive energy. Thank you. Yeah, if that's what you'd like to do with this moment, thank you. And so thinking about yeah, just noticing uncertainty and noticing I don't know how or what I might contribute, and so even noticing that beautiful awareness I'm hearing, and thinking about noticing time commitments are real, right? This is why we're having this, and noticing the thoughts that come up, like, oh, a fear of like, this might keep me from practicing, or this might keep me from a consistency that I want to have in my life of practice. And so, yeah, just really offering grace to that. And I really truly believe that the next moment is a new moment, a new opportunity for a new choice. So when I notice I'm not practicing and I'd like to practice, next moment, new moment. All right. So let's engage in some conversation about our stressors. And so what we've been noticing here is that we're noticing that we have the ability to train where we place our attention. Over time, through practice, repeatedly, we can rewire some neurology to help us more quickly notice that we might be storytelling, that we might be worrying about something, and then invite ourselves to place an attention on the breath sensation in the body, or sound, a pleasant sound, or something that offers us a bit more of coming back to right here. So what I'd like to do at this point is, if we were in a room, I'd invite you to turn to each other and have a mindful conversation. Since we're not in a room where we can do this, my invitation to you is just to use the chat window and share. Again, this is confidential. Share, what do you love about your work, and what are some of your biggest challenges? So just taking some time to pop that in there, or you can share it in the chat room, or you can return to your pen and paper journal and write and have a private conversation with yourself. So I'm just giving you a moment to do this. I'll close the video and invite you to use the chat window or your own journaling. Just what do you love about your work? What are some of your biggest challenges? What are you noticing? What do you love about your work? And what are some of your biggest challenges? What are you noticing? Okay, and again, in the interest of our collective time together, you're always welcome to view these videos anytime you'd like to. So just maybe some thoughts in the chat window. What do you love about your work? You could put the content. What are some of your biggest challenges? Or you could share what you've noticed about the process of responding to these questions, or the process of reading these questions. What did you notice there? So what I'm seeing here is, thank you, Stephen, working in institutional research, and love the discovery and data. Love being in an environment where people are working with students as a priority. Your challenges would be that you get little interaction with students and you miss that. I hear that, yes. So maybe some of you are noticing that as well. So faculty, you need to do research, and in order to get the research done, you may not be interacting with students, and you love that. Some of you love the diversity, people. And the challenges are time. So if you could unpack that a little bit more, probably feeling limited time, maybe, I'm guessing, or a lot of work to do, a lot of demands, and recognizing that we all have 24-hour days, and bureaucracy. So the challenges of dealing with systemic structures that may not be conducive to co-creation of opportunities for all to succeed. And again, this noticing a lot of this 24 hours in a day, all the needs for all human beings, thinking about flourishing. And what do we see? You love developing a life's work that seems completely authentic, creating something tailored, concern about earning enough in the meantime, getting back into the workforce. Yes, I hear you. Yes. Here, intentions, building beloved communities in the vision of Dr. King, in places such as prisons, churches, and schools, based on equality, inclusiveness, and finding our common unity and community. Big challenges, keeping focused and consistent and even-tempered. Just breathing into that, and the practice of self-care and emotion regulation. And we'll unpack emotion regulation more over the time, but thinking about this is not, I like to think of emotion regulation as not a performance of even-temperedness, but as a noticing of the experience within and integrating it into the choice of how to be with what is, and then the choice of what to do next. Yeah. Hi, Tricia. Love helping, making a difference, challenges, less resilient students. Yeah, experiencing some challenges there. And so just I'm pausing here. So I have a question. You can, I don't know how to add your name into the chat group, so I'm sorry about that, Joan. But what I do know is, I'm not sure if you can are able to open the chat window, but there should be a chat bubble, and if not, scroll your cursor and you can jump into the chat window. Okay. So some of you, as you're hearing these challenges, a challenge of honoring yourself while you do the work that you love, challenge of honoring the knowledge and experience, or feeling validated for that in the community when there's so much tension in a lot of the work that we're all doing. Um, and yeah, hi Stacy, good to see you. How to create system level change amidst bureaucracy, politics, and institutional cultures where sometimes the needs of students are not prioritized over other things. And again, just a reminder, what we're doing in this course is looking at Otto Scharmer's Theory U. We're working on our presencing to internal and external environments so we can move up the U. And that's, so we're presencing, working with that self-care on the spot self-care, not scheduling a massage, scheduling a walk on, you know, in the woods or something, but like, what do I do when I'm in that heated conversation? How do I take care of self? And provide an opportunity, stay in the dialogue so I can hear the opportunity to leverage that system change, okay? Leverage that opportunity. Yeah, so this is what this course is about. I hope that's helpful. Love learning together, lots of challenges. So, so grateful to you for sharing all of these and so many more. So again, what we're doing in this course is, what we're doing here is we're utilizing evidence-based mindful compassion practices as building blocks, and I'm using UNESCO's Education for Sustainable Development, and that would be, some of you have already mentioned it. In here, I'm going to go back and see if I can grab your words, because they're much better than the words that I would have. I think you were talking about create before you consume, but this sustainable production and consumption, behavioral change, and also the global citizenship behavioral change. And so this would be human equality and equity. This would be nonviolent practices. And these are sort of the co-creating a way of being that will resolve these systemic problems that we keep seeing in our communities. And so this one of these building blocks toward behavioral change, so we can do all the content work that we want, right? And many of you are experts far more than I am in this content, these content areas. We can teach a lot of content. We can teach some skill development, and we're teaching some skill development here. But these skill developments are actually lead to, as you can see, we're going to build on these. And what they are doing is they're heightening our awareness of what's happening in this moment. And then what's my opportunity for next moment choice? And then when I select a next moment choice and I am aware of the consequences of that choice, then the idea is that I can begin to cultivate more of these domain competencies, the behavioral domain competencies around human equality and equity, around sustainable production and consumption. And again, if this is not making sense, feel free to jump in the chat window with ideas, comments, questions, or again, also please feel free to email me. So as many of you mentioned, you're in this work because there's so many things that you love doing. Like Martha said, you love making learning spaces where students discover new things, feel supported, and grow. But there are so many challenges in this. A lot of unwelcome sensations of being invisible or unappreciated. Just sending, I feel that pain and I feel that suffering. So when we notice these challenges, rather than picking up some maybe maladaptive stress regulation strategies, and I have lots of them. Like I finished all the dark chocolate in my office and it's only Thursday. Like that's one of them. I know many of you know my other ones because you know me. But literally I would sometimes go up to a wall and bang my head like, this is what I feel like I'm doing. And so that's not useful. It's not showing self-care and kindness, and it's not helping me stay in this work. So what we, and there's nothing wrong with you. So summarizing Paul Gilbert's work very, hopefully not insultingly to Paul Gilbert, because many of you on this webinar know his work much better and can teach it much better than I can. But when we're in this work that we love, right? We're in this work that we love. And so our emotions and our passion are high. And then we experience these challenges, and these challenges, because they are about the work that we love and that we've invested ourselves in, that feels very personal, right? It feels very personal. And so it also hits a lot of heart, like, right? It just hurts. It's big, ouchy stuff. And so what happens with the neurology is that we again, there's nothing wrong with you. We'll just move into sort of this threat and self-protection system. Like, I gotta take care of myself or my people or my project or whatever. And lots going on in this diagram. And again, you have this as a resource, so you can dive deeper into this, and lots of great resources from Paul B. Gilbert, and even in more recent books in 2009. Or we go into sort of this motivation toward resources and I call this sort of my fix-it mode. It's like we just came out of a meeting where I'm like, oh, problem, let's throw more programming at it, right? Or let's like, we're always trying to throw band-aids on things. So we're trying to throw band-aids things on fix it, or we're trying to protect. And we can get caught up in this loop. And so what we're doing, and then we just keep co-creating the same thing over and over again, which doesn't lead to systemic change. Which leads to more people feeling invisible or unappreciated, which leads to more people feeling like they're banging their head up against the wall and nothing's changing. So what we're inviting into this practice is just a being with the suckiness of it, okay? Which isn't, I don't experience that as fun. More experienced practitioners on this webinar probably get more value out of it. I'm still in my practice as a place of this sucks, and but in sort of turning toward the suck and offering kindness toward that, like, this sucks, and offering some very specific self-compassion practices. So this is that soothing, caring, and contentment system. And we can do this with self, and we can do this with others on our teams, with our students. Okay, because again, what we're seeing or reacting to, and one of you said it, I think I just enjoyed how you said it. It's sort of the, and I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to find it in the chat window again. Oh, that seems like total horse's butt is probably doing the best they can, given where they are. Right? And so just this remembrance that we're all resourced externally differently and internally differently from moment to moment. And that's playing out in this human organization. Okay. So just taking a pause before we move into an exercise of this in practice, just seeing if there are any questions or thoughts or ideas. So this pause before responding. Yeah. So in this practice, we've been talking about what you love and your challenges. What I want to do right now is just invite in just a mild challenge from your week so far. Just a mild one, not a big one that had you, for me, moving right to that bag of dark chocolate and grabbing a handful and shoving it in my mouth. But mild stressor. And as you recall that mild stressor, I'm inviting you to notice the body in the chair. So really sensing the feet on the floor, the seat, in the chair. Maybe you're taking some audible breaths as you bring in attention to the feet grounding in the floor, the seat on the chair. And let's just invite in a noticing of where the body, what's happened to the body when we've talked about the stressors. Has it begun to hunch over into self-protection mode? And see if we can invite in and just that alert, upright yet relaxed spine. And again, if you're not feeling in that space, just honoring again the survival instincts of the body, holding it with kindness, allowing it to be what it is without judgment. And then let's invite in attention, a gentle attention to bringing a hand to the belly or the chest or both. And as we recall this mild stressor of the week, just inviting in noticing of the body breathing or not breathing. Getting really curious about whether the breath is shallow without judging, fast. Maybe some of you might be noticing the heart rate after talking about stressors. And as you notice what you're noticing, let's see if we can just notice and honor that experiencing stress is painful. It can be suffering. This can be a moment of pain, or it can be a moment of suffering. Just see if you can imagine being with your best friend at this moment. And imagine what your best friend would say to you in this moment of experiencing that mild stressor. Perhaps something soothing. So if you have a best friend who likes to fix things, perhaps invite in the image of a best friend who just allows you to be with what is. The big dose of kindness, the gentleness. And what is that best friend or that loving figure in your life? What is that being saying to you? What are you noticing? And as you hear these words from this being, this kind and loving being, soothing your pain or suffering from this stressor, what is it that you notice you need in this moment? Perhaps you need to hear that you're not alone in this stressor. Just on this webinar, we've shared many stresses that many of us, challenges that many of us are sharing in our work. You're not alone. There are other human beings experiencing this. And maybe we need to hear some words of invitation to noticing what we're noticing now. Has the hold that the stressor has on us softened? Has something shifted? And is this a helpful reminder of it changes? It's not always there unless the mind pulls it back in. And maybe we're even hearing an inner wisdom arise about what would we like to do now. Maybe some of you would like to engage in the box breathing, the breathing out for 4 counts, holding the exhale for 4 counts, breathing in for 4 counts, holding the inhale for 4 counts, and repeating. Maybe some of you would like to journal for 2 minutes what you're noticing. Maybe some of you had an idea of how you would like to respond in the next situation where something similar is experienced. An idea of a response that feels more loving and kind to you and those others involved in this experience. Maybe some of you notice the threat self-protection system arising again, or the need to drive and fix and repair. There's nothing wrong about what you're noticing. Just inviting in this noticing. And as you notice whatever you're noticing, taking one more moment to release the image of the stressor and invite in perhaps a brief grounding in again, noticing the feet on the floor, the seat in the chair, hands either moving away from the belly and the chest or remaining there. Simply offering yourself kindness again. This is this. Then whenever you're ready, gently returning your attention back into the webinar and just taking a moment. What did you notice? How was that exercise experienced by you? Or what would make this a successful course for you? Just taking a moment to share whatever's coming to you in the chat window. Or your 2-minute journaling, just taking a moment to journal on your own. What did you notice by engaging in that exercise? Remembering that there's no wrong or right. Whatever you're experiencing is true for you. Taking a moment to just simply share in the chat window or not what you're noticing. Okay, so again, inviting any shares that you feel comfortable sharing in the chat window or just noticing whatever you're noticing. Martha, feeling so much better and so, and so grateful. Now thinking about how to feel like this while still in my department meeting, experiencing stress. So I hear you. And part of, I notice part of my suffering is thinking that everything is always going to be the same. And that thinking that life is about no ups and downs. And so Tricia, you mentioned the resilience of our students, and I was thinking your concern about the resilience of our students. And I was thinking as I was coming into work, was noticing a moment of mind suffering, and I was like, that's where I was thinking everything is always the same, and that creates suffering for me. So just again honoring that, here I can practice, and here I notice suffering, and I notice a skillful way to meet that suffering, and here I notice suffering, and I notice that I don't have a skillful way to meet that suffering. And now I'm suffering because I want to deregulate the stress, and I can't. And so again, just inviting that same practice. What would you tell a good friend who is experiencing stress in a particular situation? You ask, is there a somatic translation of some kind or cue that I can do with my eyes open? I bring a hand to the belly. Yeah, I bring a hand to the belly. I bring awareness to the breath in the belly. I actually press my feet into the ground. I'll do this standing or sitting. Sometimes if the stress is so much, I'll bring my hands to below the chair. I'll notice if there's gum stuck underneath the chair, and I'll just simply press the body into the chair, just reminding me to come back here, breathe, care for self, and even say, of course you're upset. Who wouldn't be upset in this moment? Of course you're stressed. Who wouldn't be upset in this stress? Right. And again, we're meeting the stress with kindness because, why not? But we're not ignoring the stressor. We're not pushing away. We're not pretending it's not there. Okay. So we're just noticing a lot, the easeful, peaceful movement. We're noticing appreciation for the options. Yeah, great. Some of you found what you need in this moment very helpful. Great, and it empowered you to consider how you could be kinder to yourself. Thank you, yes. What do you need in this moment? And just really honoring that, as long as it doesn't harm you or another, okay? What do you need in this moment, as long as it doesn't harm you or another? Thank you, lots of beautiful sharing. Thank you so much. All right, so noticing time. And so the invitation, again, as we engage throughout this course, is to, as we notice our noticing, and this is my very simplistic definition of awareness. I notice what I'm noticing, either sight sensation, sound sensation, taste sensation, bodily movement sensation, thought sensation, right, past, future. Just see if we can notice with some playful curiosity, not striving, not avoiding, with some kindness, some patience, generosity, like, wow, what's here? Kind of soaking in it, and offering that self-care. Thank you. So, and the non-judging. So again, we're automatically going to judge yum or yuck. That's just how the brain is, right? I just notice immediate yum or yuck all the time. We're doing this activity this morning about what do you think of when you see this word, O-R-A-N-G-E. O-R-A-N-G-E. Do you think fruit or color? And it was so funny because my mind was just like, orange, yuck. I don't like, and it just went to, and then I went to all the universities that have orange as their mascot color, and the person in the room that was wearing an orange jacket, and I was like, and I laughed in my head silently, fortunately, so at how funny I go to judging. This is just part of it. So just noticing that, and then seeing if I can suspend that. Oh, that's funny. There's judgment. What else am I noticing? What is this? And I find it helpful to silently name what I noticed with one word, like, wow, there was yuck. That was funny. That was humor. Ooh, storytelling. Ooh, mind wandering. Ooh, worry. Ooh, stress. Ooh, anxiety. Yeah. And seeing if we can honor what is with this gentle acceptance. And what I want to say about acceptance of what is, and this is incredibly important in living social justice, in the work that we're doing with education for sustainable development and global citizenship and equity and inclusion, is acceptance of what is in this moment does not mean that I accept what caused that stress, okay? This is often a misunderstood piece with mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness and accepting what is does not mean that I have to accept what caused that injustice, what caused that stress, what caused that mistreatment, what caused that microaggression, what caused the falling down of expectations, okay? So the invitation here is that, however, if I keep resisting what is in this moment, what happens is the mind stays in storytelling. It goes into ruminating. My physiology keeps jacking up. I lose access to the prefrontal analytical prefrontal, medial frontal analytical reasoning part. I can't become a part of the problem-solving team because I'm in the part of the reaction. Okay, is this making sense? Cool. And the fun thing is the invitation as we move to close in this time, I really want to honor our time, is that we can practice this bringing a full attention to our movement. So as you walk, if you have the ability to walk, or even at the times that I've spent in the wheelchair, just bringing a full attention to movement, whether that's walking, wheeling, running, and seeing even if I can bring an attention to how many steps I take or rotations I take with each inhale and how many I take with each exhale as I move from one meeting to another. And giving myself some self-kindness there. We can bring intentional attention to eating. I notice when I bring my full attention to ingesting dark chocolate, I eat quite a bit less than I do if I don't bring my full attention to eating dark chocolate. So we can do this with all sorts of practices, okay? So our invitation here is to start to see if you can dial up that noticing of what you're noticing with kindness, with gentleness, with reverence. In both your formal practice, this would be a seated focused breathing. So just what we did, so kind of bringing the attention to the body in the chair, sensation of the body in the chair, sensation of the breath in the body, or to some sort of focused movement that perhaps you already have in your life, maybe Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, walking, running, cycling, weightlifting, whatever it is. And to 2-minute journaling. So those would be practices that you would allocate, tasks that you would allocate time for. And then we can bring a full attention to these informal practices where we can take a focused breath anytime, anywhere. We can walk with attention. We can eat, brushing our teeth, hugging a friend. That's my personal favorite one to bring my full attention to. Listening, as some of you mentioned, really just about anything. Now, as we close with 2 minutes, I'm always inviting in your ideas, your questions, and your comments. We have that listserv set up. And if you'd like to have a practice buddy, somebody you check in every week to see how your practice is going, you can, the invitation is to go on that listserv. And again, if you have not found the listserv invitation, feel free to email me at this email address and we will get you set up. My great gratitude to Carol Smith, who's my partner in crime on this and who's on this webinar. Couldn't do anything without her. Thank you, Carol. So as you get a buddy, this is one way that we invite you to spend your time. Just again, our time is full. And so if we invest in this time, think about just investing in a 15-minute check-in where you practice taking turns, or you invest in a 30-minute check-in where you practice taking turns each week or every other week or once a month, whatever works for you. It's whatever works. And just bringing a full attention to listening as your buddy shares how they're doing with their practice, and how then you share how you're doing with your practice. And then the invitation would be, how did that go? What did you notice about listening? And remembering our co-creation guidelines. Okay, so that is that for this week. Are these slides available to review? Thanks, Mike. Carol and I will work on that if Carol is willing to help me. She's volunteering. We're all volunteering. So if Carol says yes, then the answer is yes. Okay, Carol says yes. Thank you, Carol. Okay, so we'll get these up. All right, it's 4 o'clock. I need to honor your time. 4 o'clock in San Diego. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you for your time and your energy and your wisdom. I wish you a beautiful week, and I look forward to seeing you online next week. Take good care.